Hello everyone, welcome to Tech Sharmit. In this session, we will discuss another scenario for cursor. In our previous session, we have seen how we can utilize fetch last, fetch first, right? So in this session, we will discuss another keyword which we can use with fetch, and the keyword name is fetch prior. So how to use this fetch prior? So to understand that, first of all, I will show you one table data. Then we will discuss the requirement and post understanding the requirement, we will discuss the program. Okay. So let's go to the session B. Here I will run one query to show you the data. So just write select star from Sharmit1, which is my library name, slash emppf1, which is my physical file name. Once you hit enter, you will see there are multiple records for two columns, employee ID and employee age. Now suppose you want to fetch this data in your sqlrpgle program in order to print the data, but in reverse mode or in reverse order. So how to achieve this? Reverse order means you want to print this record first, then this one, and you want to go upwards, not the downwards. Usually what we do, we fetch the data from the cursor and it prints the value like this: 50 and 12, 20 and 1050, 1 and 545, and 90 and 254, right? But this time the requirement is that we want to fetch the data but in reverse order. So how to achieve this? So to achieve this, we can utilize the keyword fetch prior. So let's see how we can use fetch prior. So first of all, we have to create one sqlrpgle program, and here in first line we are declaring one constant which is sql state underscore valid. This constant we will use to match the we will use this constant to match sql status with value 5 times 0. Okay, so every time whenever we are executing any sql statement, it returns some sql status, and through those sql status itself we can identify whether the query is executed properly or not. So to verify it, the sql statement means if sql status is returning 5 times 0, it means the query is okay, it is executed successfully. But it is, if it is not returning the sql status as 5 times 0, then it means the query is not executed properly. Okay, so just because of that reason we are using this constant, although we can directly use this value also at the time of comparing the sql status with our values, but to increase the readability we have included this constant in our program. Okay, post that, just for the example purpose, I am just fetching the first record, or you can say first column from the table, not both columns. I'm just fetching the employee ID, and this is just a random data, right? I just put the data just for the example purpose. So to hold this data we need one host variable, so I store it as dcls, which is for declaration of standalone variable, and the variable name is w underscore id of zone decimal 9. So this variable we will use to store the output which we are retrieving from the query. After that, we are setting the commitment control option to star none. What is commitment control and why we are using this thing we will discuss in other separate session, not now, but for now just you can simply put these three lines in your program. Okay, although we are going to keep these three lines in every sqlrpgle program, so you can keep it as it is, but later we will have some examples and some separate topic where we will discuss about the commitment control. Okay, fine, so let's move forward. So here what we are doing, first of all we are declaring one declaration, we are declaring the cursor. So to declare the cursor you just need to write exec sql, which is for execute sql, then declare keyword get data, which is my cursor name, and scroll is keyword, cursor for, and this is the query. We have already discussed this many times, like how to declare cursor, right? Now one trick to verify whether the query is okay or not, you can simply copy that part and paste it here. You can see it is printing correctly. So this is the order in which we want to print the data, means 90, then 1, then 20, and then 50. Fine. Now cursor is declared. Now we will open it. So to open the cursor, you just need to write exec sql open get data, where get data is my cursor name. Now cursor is opened. Once cursor is opened, then we will fetch the data. So here we are going to use two combination for fetching the record. In first approach, we will simply fetch the last record from the table and print it. So you can see on line number 36, I am executing SQL with fetch last from, this is my cursor name, get data, into host variable w_id. If you are fetching multiple column, then there you can pass data structure host as a host variable. We have covered that in previous session, right? So this line, what this line will do, these two lines, it will fetch the data from the last record, because fetch last is for fetching the data from last record, and then it will print it. Okay, fine. So last data is fetched. Now our objective is to go upward. It means 90 is printed. Now we want to print 1. So to fetch this record, we will use another query which will fetch the prior, where we will use the fetch with prior keyword. So here I am running one loop, do while SQL state is equal with SQL state underscore valid. It means if above query is executed properly, then run this query until or unless till we are getting the SQL state which is equal to the SQL state underscore valid. So here I am executing the query. So what it will do, it will fetch the prior record. This is the keyword prior. So prior record means we were on the last record. So prior is 1. So it will, after fetching, it will check if SQL, because every SQL statement returns some status, right? So again we are checking if SQL state is not equal to SQL state underscore valid, then simply leave the loop. Otherwise you can print the value. So here I am printing the value w_id. Then it will iterate the loop, then go and fetch the prior again. So this time it will move towards upward and fetch this 20, and then it will print that 20 value. Likewise it will proceed and go for 50, and then it will print the 50. After printing 50, it will not get the, means once 50 is printed, then it will again came inside this loop and it will check for SQL state. It will again execute this query, fetch prior, but this time there is no record, so it will not return SQL state underscore valid, means 5 times 0. So in that case it will simply go and leave the loop. Okay, so this is how we are printing the records in reverse order. Once we are done with data fetching, then we are simply closing the cursor. So here I am writing exec SQL close cursor, where cursor name is get data, and set the INR to *on. So let's quickly compile this program. And call this. So firstly it is printing 90, then 1, then 20, then 50. Okay, so this is how it is working, 90, 1, 20, 50. So whenever there is a need where you want to print the data in reverse order, in that case you can easily utilize fetch prior keyword to fetch the prior record. But to use this keyword, first of all there should be some record inside, means there should be some pointer, right? So that's why we are setting the, firstly we are setting the pointer at last, and then we are using prior keyword to go upward. Okay, so this is very important topic, because whenever you are working for any project, there might be some requirement where you want to fetch the record in reverse order. So there you can easily utilize this fetch prior method. I hope this session is clear to all of you. In the next session we will discuss few more things. So thank you for watching Tech Sharmit.